What is up, everybody? Welcome to a special edition live stream. I'm so excited for this because, first of all, I don't do very many live streams anymore. And so when we do this, it's special. But guys, I'm really excited because if you don't know this gentleman right here, you are about to be incredibly blessed because Mike is the man behind the orange book. The orange book that, it's right there. Where is it? It's right there. You can see a little bitty piece of it. And you can read in the book about how I met Mike and his wife and just all the people that are part of the Floyd Wickman team. But Mike, welcome to the stream. Thank you for being with me.
Love being here in the yard with you, Kyle. This is great.
You are in sunny Florida. I am in overcast Texas, and this is all about real estate, right? This is what you do. You eat it, you breathe it, you sleep it. So, Mike, this year would mark the end of your what year in real estate?
It's at least 30.
30 years.
Maybe a few more. Yeah.
Unbelievable. And one of the things that I think is really cool is you still do a lot of one-on-one coaching, and what you teach is what is made up of the orange book. And correct me if I'm wrong, but your coaching students, is it that they average one new listing every how long?
One listing or sale per person per week.
Unbelievable.
It's been that way for 15 years.
For 15 years. And so there's a lot of people that sold 3 houses this year. And so one sell a week would be pretty unbelievable. What have you seen in your 30 years of doing this? What's been the one thing that you feel like has never changed?
Wow.
About how to be good in this industry?
Oh, well, the one thing that's never changed is change. It just keeps happening.
Yeah.
You know? And the market goes up and the market goes down. The economy goes up. The economy goes down.
Yeah.
By the way, so does the population of agents who are working. That follows that curve, you know.
That's right. Yeah.
And those succeeding. I think the one thing that hasn't changed, and unfortunately it hasn't changed, is that literally everybody who gets into real estate one way or the other, whether they're nudged in or they come in as a result of their family or DNA or business background, that a relatively small proportion of the people who get in stick and succeed. The turnover has always been incredible. Now there's, I think right now, 1.5 million members of the National Association, and another million or so people who actually have a license but are not members of the association. Maybe they're attorneys or inspectors, or for some reason have a license. But there are 1.5 million people who are pursuing this real estate dream as a career, and yet a tiny fraction of them are earning a really, really good living. And it's always been that way. And it's, I think, tragic, but that's why we have a business, because our business is helping those people who want to succeed earn what they need to earn and earn what they want to earn. You know, most of the people who come to us, Kyle, are there because they want to feed a family or pay a mortgage or put kids through school or, fund a retirement plan. And they've chosen real estate as the vehicle.
Right. And
they get in and they have all these high hopes and ambitions and dreams and wishes, and yet never get traction.
And so in your coaching through the Floyd Wickman team, what do you notice most when you have a new student come in that's desperate for help? What do you see as the most common thing they lack that you're able to instill in them the most?
It's probably 2 things. And the first is a willingness to actually have prospecting conversations on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
You know, they always say variety is the spice of life, but spice only adds flavor.
Mm,
The real substance is consistency.
yeah.
When you can become consistent with reaching out to the people you know and then the people you don't know and have real estate conversations, when you're able to figure that out, and not everybody does, but boy, when you do, then the floodgates open.
Yeah.
After that, it's developing reflex. Selling is not conning people, it isn't pushing people, it's leadership. It's getting people to the point where they're able to make a decision comfortably that they wouldn't ordinarily make without you,
Yeah.
but they'll thank you for later.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can't talk somebody into buying a house that doesn't want to buy. If they don't want to buy, they're not going to buy a house. And if they don't want to sell, they're not going to sell their house. Sometimes they're reluctant, though, to make decisions. I don't know. Maybe they should teach decision making in school. You know,
Yeah.
if you ask the typical person, "Do you have any problem making decisions?" They'll usually say, "Well, yes and no."
Right.
And and our job really as salespeople is to help them to that point of decision comfortably, because they're going to thank us for it later.
Yeah.
And to do that, you need what we call sales reflex. In other words, know what to say and how to say it at the right time to enough of the right people, and you'll be fine. You'll do. First of all, you got to put yourself in that position by being able and willing to have the conversations to generate those opportunities.
Yeah.
But second, once you get there, in a caring way, in a relationship based way, not a transaction based way, in a relational way, to guide people to the decisions that they want to make anyway.
Yeah. So give us an idea of how do you create a real estate conversation where you kind of make it feel like it's their choosing to have started that conversation, because I know you're highly relational in all of this, and so that you're unbelievably intentional with your words. What does that look like?
Well, technically, it looks like open-ended questions, or we like to call
Okay.
them opens, because they all start with W. Who,
Okay.
what, when, where, why, which, and how. And how's just who spelled sideways. it's a it's a pattern of being able to ask the right questions and then understanding that listening is a whole lot more important than talking.
Yeah.
And listening with intent, being able to repeat back to people what you hear them say, to summarize it, to put it into objectives and goals and wishes and wants and needs. So if we can understand what our clients want and then ask the question, well, can I do that? And am I willing to? I mean, that usually fixes every situation you're in. What does my client want? And can I do it? Am I willing to do it?
Yeah.
So it's a question of asking the right questions, listening for the answers, repeating them back, and then making a decision. Can I help these people? And that's, to me, Kyle, the foundation of everything.
Yeah. How many different ways? Because I know in the book, one of the things that I loved, because I got to proof the book, so I think I've probably read it 18 times in the process of us getting all this together.
You probably
And
did.
you
And thank you very much for that, by the way.
Oh, of course. I got free education by getting to do my job.
Well, I was so captivated by the Rethink Everything concept. It's such a brilliant concept. I said, "Hey, man, I want in on this. This is great."
And you, in the book, you talk about how for them to kind of lay out their database.
Yes.
And we put what essentially is like an Excel spreadsheet in the book that helps. Can you kind of talk to people that hopefully haven't bought the book yet, so they're going to go buy the book, like how you coach people through their database?
Well, it's funny. We do this exercise at the first session of every program we ever do.
Okay.
And it's called the Who Do You Know Who list. Because what we say to people is, in the social sciences, they tell you it's not possible for you to have close personal relationships with more than 200 people.
Okay.
That's in the history of mankind. Whenever a community grows beyond the number 200, it splits, because that's the level
Yeah.
at which we're able to hold intimacy and familial, close personal type relationships. So I say to my students, and we have from the beginning, I want you to write down the names of the 200 people who you're closest to. And I get this look, 200? I only know 4 people.
Yeah.
So we give them this list. Who do you know who does this and who you're connected to this way? And there's 100 categories of people on this list. And after about 5 or 10 minutes, looking at the list and thinking, how many people do I know in this category? How about in this category? They all of a sudden realize, I know more people than I think I do.
Right.
I'm connected. I mean, unless you just moved somewhere where you're a total stranger and you've never met anyone, if you've lived somewhere for a while, you know and interact with a lot more people than you think. You actually have a lot more conversations with people than you think you do.
Right.
So once you get your list of the 200 people who you believe are most likely to do one of 2 things with you, or both, either do business with you or repeat business or refer you to their friends, family, neighbors, coworkers, then it's just a matter of conditioning them, of getting to know them and conditioning them. And I'd like to take a minute on that, if I could.
Please. Absolutely.
One of the things that Americans love to talk about is real estate.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the news all the time. And if they're invested in it, you can't get rich selling real estate. You can only get rich owning real estate.
Right.
And people have a lot of equity right now. So they're talking real estate with their friends, with their family, with the people they work with and the people in their neighborhood. And the purpose of putting your list together of those 200 best sources is to condition them to think of you when one of those conversations happens.
Right.
And then connect you with the person that they're talking with. As if you do the math, there's going to be 4 million closings in the US this year.
Wow.
Each closing has at least 2 people attached to it, a buyer and a seller. Now, there may be more, but we've got 320 million people. So divide 8 million into 320, that gives you 40. So 1 out of every 40 people is probably going to be involved in a real estate transaction this year. So if I want to do 10 or 20 or 50 transactions, do I have to know 1,000 people? No, you only have to know the right 200 people. I've seen this message come from you over and over and over when you're talking about social media. You don't have to know everybody. You just have to know the right people.
That's it.
And if you've got the right 200 people and they each know 200 people, that's 40,000 people.
Right.
If you can't build a business based on that, on those relationships and those conversations, then you're always going to be chasing transactions.
Mm-hmm.
When you can get 200 people to know you, like you, trust you, and respect you, and think of you whenever they have one of those conversations, that's really the key to longevity in the business.
That's it.
It's the key to not having to start over every January 1st. I think that's why people hate New Year's Day.
Yeah.
Think, oh my gosh, I got to start over from scratch every January 1. Well, if you've got a business based on relationships and connections, then you don't. And that's what struck me so deeply about your book, Rethinking Everything You Know About Social Media, because it is based on those connections and those relationships.
So if somebody doesn't,
Long-winded explanation. I'm sorry.
no, it's well, it's awesome. And this is why I love the power of video, because if somebody didn't want to hear all that, they can fast forward through that part. But they would be disappointed because there's so much wisdom there. And so for the person that goes, golly, I don't have, maybe I have 1,500 friends on Facebook, but I do not know like my 200 people. If they were using the last few weeks of December to kind of begin to build that list, what are you coaching your people to do starting in January to start the year off right with that 200?
The more you can know about what's going on in their lives, the more you can customize your interactions with them.
Yeah.
What you send them, what you say when you call them, what you say to them when you see them, and especially how you interact with them on social media.
Yeah.
You know, your specialty, which is, it's definitely not mine. And I've learned so much from you. When I took your boot camp, it was just awesome. But the main thing it taught me was to limit your interactions to things that matter to the people in your business.
Yeah.
That what when you know what's going on in their lives, for instance, you can DM somebody with a happy anniversary message.
Right.
That they don't get from anyone else.
Yeah.
When you see something one of their children is involved in, and comment on that. When it's their anniversary of buying the house, when it's their birthday, you know, the more you know about what's going on in their lives, the easier it is to send a message somehow to them, a signal to them that I know what's going on in your life. I care about you. I'm connected with you.
Could you imagine, Mike,
memorable.
If you know, myself and my companies and your company both use virtual assistants.
Uh-huh.
And so could you imagine if somebody had a part-time virtual assistant that we're talking under $1,000 a month, if all they did was they have a spreadsheet of their person's 200 people, and it was labeled January through December, and all they did once a month was go to each of those people's Facebooks, jot a couple lines of notes. Susie turned 6. These people's dog passed away. And then if you every week just went back through your list, picked 5 or 6 of them, and made the phone call, write the handwritten card, show up through video in their DM, like, what unbelievable opportunity to buy and sell real estate would end up coming from just that simple act of kindness.
If you care about the people you do business with, and boy, if you don't, learn how to fake it at least. If you really do care about the people in your business, wouldn't you much rather it be personal?
Yes.
Rather than transactional? Wouldn't you much rather that you're deeply connected to a village, a community, a group of people? And there's hardly any other business like it that gives you the opportunity to do that. And it's so easy. And yet you've got people banging away at cold calling every day and talking to people who don't want to talk to them. I mean, really, why bang your head up against the wall with people who don't want to interact with you when you can?
This because I haven't known you your whole life, right? I've known you for a couple years now, and Mary and Dawn and Anna and so many incredible people inside of your organization. But what I watch y'all do, and maybe you can tell the story when this switch flipped for you. But what is so obvious from you guys is that you are all about abundance. Like, you believe that by just giving to people, loving, serving people, I'm always going to end up getting what I want. And I just don't think our world as a whole wakes up feeling that abundant spirit. And so is there something that y'all do that like coaches to that, or is that just something that we have to kind of hope that one day we think more of abundance than scarcity? Like,
Yeah.
how do you wake up every day and come from a place of abundance?
Well, one of my teachers, a woman named Edwene Gaines, always used to say, "I have a very rich father."
Mm.
You know, up there.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's really in February of 2002 when Floyd and I sat down and said, let's rebuild this company the way we want it. What are the principles we're going to make all our decisions and live by and manage by? And so we wrote out those 5 core values.
Mm.
And every time we're in a bind, we go to the core values. Every time we have a decision to make, we go to the core values. Every time we design a new program, does it serve the core values? And if it does, every relationship we have, we always evaluate based on those core values. And if there's a fit, the relationship continues.
Yeah.
And you know what they are. And the first is to always live by the get by giving philosophy, which is if you give to get, you won't get. But if you just give, you'll get.
Yep.
And that's a message that Floyd got from his mentor, Zig Ziglar, who said, you can have everything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want.
That's right.
And it's such a core principle for us. But the second one is to always make our clients' number one goal our number one goal.
And
to always live up to our standards, despite temptations to lower them. The fourth is to always be willing to work toward the common good.
Yeah.
And lastly, to always do what we say we'll do, sometimes more, just never less.
I love that.
And, if you let those principles guide you,
Yeah,
the business becomes way easier. And who you work with and who you decide not to work with becomes way easier to decide.
so
good. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah. Yes. Mike, I don't think it'd matter what you say. I've never heard you say anything that wasn't profound and impactful. So, short from getting your guitar out, you nailed it. So, 2025 is right here around the corner.
Yes, it is.
And what I love about you, what I love, like my mentor, my parents, right there. Well, all 3 of them are 65 years old, right? So they're at the age where the world expects them to kind of start hanging it up.
Yeah.
Right. You've earned it at that point. And nothing I've ever seen about you has the phrase hanging it up in it.
Yeah.
And so what, like, out of everything you've already done, like, what could possibly be next?
Over the course of the years that I've worked with Floyd, we've trained about 250,000 agents, brokers, managers, people like that, but mostly sales associates, mostly agents. And a group of people who work together as a team are always producing more than people who work as individuals.
Right.
Over the years, when I worked with Floyd as his first trainer and then creative director and then now his partner, and now he's retired and turned things over to me. Whenever a leader came to us, that means someone who was responsible for the production of the people underneath them, and said, my team is not producing up to its full potential. In fact, nowhere near its full potential.
Sure.
What are we missing? Floyd would always have the same answer: teamwork. And teamwork, an effective producing team, has 5 critical ingredients. Whenever we could get a broker or manager or leader in any capacity to install all 5 ingredients, production always went up.
Okay.
It never went down. And that team would always go to the top in their organization. And whenever they didn't install all 5 ingredients or had one or more missing, they didn't grow. So starting next Tuesday, I'm doing a webinar called The 5 Ingredients of an Award-Winning Team.
All right.
Floyd taught me, and by the way, if you sign up for the webinar, I'll send you a copy of my book as well.
Come on.
You help enough other people get what they want, you get what you want. Next year, I'm going to do a series of 12 webinars, one a month, on all the leadership principles that I've learned from Floyd over the years and I've seen demonstrated. Now, I went back to my early life, and I was chosen as a patrol leader in Boy Scouts, and then went into junior assistant scoutmaster. And basic training, they chose me as the platoon leader, director of recruiting for 300 offices. Every band, you mentioned guitar, every band I've ever been in, they pointed at me. Oh, you're the leader. You take over. And Floyd picked me as I just looked back at my life and I saw all these leadership positions I've been in. And then all the things that Floyd taught me to work in leading our organization. And then all the things he taught his clients and our clients to be better leaders in our industry.
Yeah.
And I thought, I can't let this stuff die. I got to make sure it gets saved.
That's right.
So, Kyle, I'm saying it publicly.
I love it.
Rethink Everything You Know About Leadership is
Come on
next year.
I love it. That would be incredible.
A series of 12 webinars. I'll give you some of the titles.
And how, while you're grabbing the titles,
yeah,
what's the easiest way for somebody to sign up for the webinars?
floydwickman.com/team-webinar.
Okay. But from floydwickman.com, they can find it.
Yeah, for sure.
I love it. So give us some of the webinar titles.
Well, the first one starts Tuesday. It's the 5 ingredients of an award-winning team.
I will be there.
January's retention.
Okay.
In other words, how to keep the people you have and attract the people you want.
I love that.
The pandemic literally killed culture in the industry.
Yeah.
There's a way to restore company culture, and there's a value to it, and that's going to be one of them.
I can't wait.
How to handle problem personalities. All the lessons we've learned managing salespeople, because it's different from managing workers as it is managing salespeople.
Yeah. Yep.
The 5 jobs of a sales manager: recruit, train, motivate, direct, and upgrade. We have rapid fire recruiting. I'm going to teach leaders the difference between training and coaching and how to adopt each of them into your organization. How to galvanize a team. There's a 5-step process. How to solve people problems one-on-one with the people.
Wow.
The 4 cornerstones of an award-winning organization, and all these interactive techniques to get people going in the same direction. When you get people working as a team, they always produce more than individuals.
Yeah.
And that's such a key component of leadership. Anyway, that's just a taste of what we're going to do.
Well, guys, y'all,
and I'm excited about it.
Y'all heard it here that Mike has said that if you sign up for the webinar, he's going to send you one of these. That's pretty cool. Obviously, I know I'm biased, guys, but this is a fail-proof system to win in real estate. It's fail-proof. It's unbelievable. And so if you have not gotten the orange book, I would say go buy one anyway, even if you sign up for the webinar, and give the one away that Mike's going to send you. But this is going to change your life if you will actually go and apply the pages to your daily activities. Mike,
Kyle,
I can't.
I want to say something about you.
Please.
Just a minute, if I could.
Sure.
In our coaching program, the concept or the idea or the question about social media comes up at least once a month, if not more frequently. And if there's one phrase that gets associated with all the time, it's rabbit hole, meaning it's a time suck. It's a black hole where people disappear and never are heard from again. And so when we brought Kyle in to speak to our group at the Business Breakthrough in Nashville, it was like, oh, the clouds parted and the sun shone through. I said, oh, no wonder people fall down that rabbit hole, because they don't have the right direction. They don't even have the right mindset. And then I read your book and took your boot camp. And I'm telling you, if you lead a group of salespeople who build relationships with clients, you have got to get Kyle's message into your company.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, there's none better.
Man, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for trusting me with y'all's story to be able to put it out there in this way. It's an honor to call you my friend and to do life together. I can't wait for these webinars. And people, go get the orange book. It's a game changer. Mike, thanks for being on with me.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.